Marc, get us started down the line.
Hey, Marc Herman, a.k.a. LA Bengal fan, repping the Bengals.
Dave Green, Browns guy.
Browns guy.
Jay Nicholson, the Ravens.
Chris Atkins, Steeler Nation.
All right.
Hey, we're going to kick it off with news and a review of Week 1. Marc, how the Bengals do?
Yeah, you know what? The Bengals escaped New York with the win on 9/11, which I couldn't be more thankful of. It was a great situational football game. It is very, very difficult to win games when you don't control the line of scrimmage, and I really feel that we were outplayed, especially the Jet defensive line with the Bengal offensive line. They gave up 7 sacks in the game, 5 of them in the first half, most amount of times Andy Dalton's ever been sacked. Now, with that said, Dalton still had a really good game. When he was upright in the first half, he did throw for 200 yards, and he threw for almost 400 yards in the game. He had long, time-consuming drives, including the game winner. And AJ had just an absolutely unbelievable game. He was targeted 13 times. He had 12 receptions. 10 of those were against Revis. He was 10 for 10 against Darrelle Revis. So it was just an unbelievable game, and he made some spectacular catches. And to Dalton's credit, he made some great throws. There's one catch where Dalton couldn't have put it in any other place. AJ just reached out with one hand. I think everybody in America saw that because that was on the highlight reel. But just reached out and made a great catch. Like I said, he made Revis Island look like Gilligan's Island. And it was just unbelievable. And I have to say something. One of the classiest post-game interviews I've ever seen. He was asked what it was like to be the mayor of Revis Island, and he said, I have the honor of going up against a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I'm just trying to become one of those. So, I mean, really, because he's a soft-spoken, classy guy, just a really classy post-game interview. We'll have to do a better job next week, our offensive line. I mean, they were just, like I said, in the first half, they were outplayed. They really were. And we were lucky to win that game. We had some real flashes there. Marcus Hunt, and this is what I was talking about, situational. We had Marcus Hunt step up, get a blocked field goal. Jets had a long drive in the first half of the game, and Marcus Hunt, who blocked 17 kicks at SMU, 7 in one season, got his paw up there, blocked the field goal. I mean, I think the kicker had never missed a field goal inside of that range ever, and took care of that. Shaw had an amazing interception to seal the game. If you want to see a textbook coverage of how to take away the inside positioning on a receiver, Decker had no chance of catching that ball. That was Shaw's, or it was incomplete, and Decker actually got flagged for a personal foul after the interception.
We got to keep moving. What was your favorite play of that game?
Jeremy Hill, once again, situational football. Did not have a big game running the ball, but when we needed a run, we were inside the 20, or we were at the 12, he banged his way into the end zone on a 12-yard run. And the thing I loved the most was the Barry Sanders-like handing the ball. He said that he's taken this season very seriously. Handed the ball to the official, shook a couple players' hands, and walked over the sideline. No celebration, no nothing. So, like I said, we're going to have to step it up on the offensive line, but real happy to get out of New York with a W. That's a quality team.
If you could grade your performance, like A+, B-, C+, whatever, how would you give that?
Special teams, I would give.
Overall.
Overall, I'd give it a B. I really would.
Okay.
I don't think outside of AJ Green and Andy Dalton really put the game on their shoulders and brought it home.
Yeah.
So
all right, cool.
That's it.
Dave, what's the good news?
Took one on the chin, 29-10. We started off slow. We didn't get the wide receivers involved until the second quarter. And you can see that especially with this pass and catch to Pryor right here. And then that actually set up this next highlight right here with... I'm assuming it's going to be over my left shoulder. Maybe it'll be like right in front of me. I'm not too sure, but I'm pointing this way like Vanna White. We continued the momentum into the third quarter, and we made it 10-13. But then it all just came apart for us. We had the bad snap for the safety, and that was pretty much momentum. Philly ran away with it right there. Notes the O-line still needs work. I really think Pasteur and Irvin need some help right there. I said watch out for Fletcher Cox. He was a beast. 4 tackles, a sack. He got to the quarterback twice. Defensively, we're still young, but I thought Nazib and Kirksey actually really showed up. Shelton played a hell of a game. It just doesn't show up in the stat line. Watch out for those guys going forward. I think Davis actually did pretty good too. The open field tackling, that was a noticeable improvement from the preseason to week 1, and I expect that to continue to get better as the season goes along. Team news, we've got Dick Ambrose and Tom Darden. They're being inducted this week into the Legends program, along with the Jim Brown statue unveiling.
Nice.
Whoa.
Took it on the shoulder, not the chin, the shoulder.
You're not even gonna touch. You're not even gonna
You're
touch.
gonna just gloss over?
I didn't
You're
gloss
just gonna
over nothing.
gloss over your
I didn't even mention
offensive
it.
problems?
Yeah.
There was no glossing over it. I didn't even mention it.
Let me mention it for you.
Oh.
As a professional, you have to learn from your mistakes. I mean, you can't, as a professional, you cannot keep committing the same mistake.
If you look at that injury and you look at where it happened in the game, that is a guy who is just trying to do too much with not enough time.
But that's what he's saying. He's making
That's exactly what I'm saying.
How is he supposed to slide or get out of bounds when he's standing here, the line is here, and the guy's right there?
He ran to a receiver and didn't slide.
He didn't have a chance to slide on the play.
He
That's the way I
initiated
see it.
all the
He
contact.
initiated the
All the
contact.
contact.
Gets blown up.
You're trying to save the time on the clock, not use the timeouts till the very end. I think he was trying to do the right thing. I think him being
You were the
competitive-
biggest optimist.
If he stops a yard short and avoids that contact, how does that change the outcome?
It doesn't change the outcome at all. We still lose 29-10 regardless.
So
I
why
think
get
it's
hurt
just
on that
him trying to
play?
be competitive and try to make a statement. Hey, look, I want to be a team leader. This is what you got to do to be a team leader. Sometimes you got to do that. That's what I
But
think.
also-
I'll give you some good news though. I think McCown's gonna come in.
McCown's
for you guys.
McCown is actually going to be way better for the young, the wide receivers that we have, all being rookies and stuff.
Knows the
I think
playbook.
he's going to be able to set those guys up, make sure they run the proper routes. I think that we're going to get a guy who drops back into the pocket that is not as mobile, and I think that that's going to create a lot of stuff for us.
Well, also, if you look at it statistically, like, whenever you come with more mobile quarterbacks, whenever they stay in the pocket, they do better. They just
all
do
drop
better.
back quarterbacks do better than a mobile quarterback.
Absolutely.
Cam Newton has a career of what, maybe 8-9 years tops? He's going to have to readjust his game. Any mobile quarterback does
Eventually,
not succeed in the
Yeah,
NFL.
yeah.
They have their 3 years of freaking kaboom, and then that's it for them. They get hurt.
Number one ability is availability.
Yeah.
If you're not available, you're nothing.
Very true.
Jan?
Wait, real quick, again, how would you grade overall your team's performance?
Highs and lows. I'm going to say it was probably a C- to a C.
Okay.
I think we showed some good things there. I think we showed some knuckleheaded shit there. I honestly think that it was probably a C overall.
Okay, alright, cool.
Fair enough.
So, moving on to Ravens?
Moving on to
Okay,
Ravens.
Ravens, Bills, man, ugly game. Lots of problems on offense, a few on defense overall. For me, like, Mike Wallace showed that he is no joke. Like, that 66-yarder was, like, legit. We also found out that Perryman can catch even contested. Like, he only had the one catch. He was targeted one other and didn't make it, but that one catch was ridiculous. I'm not like on the bandwagon yet, but I'm saying like, all right, kids there.
He's sipping the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'm
He's not chugging it yet.
I'm all for that. Joe Flacco on that knee looks steady. Like he looks steady. And Pitta didn't die, so that's good.
There you go.
He scared the shit out of me whenever he got up and he brushed his hip, and I'm like, oh my god, is he injured? And then he walked and kept playing. I'm like, all right. Our run game needs some serious development. Like we need to open up holes on the offensive line. Jeremy Zutah looked really shaky, like in a couple of plays. I really was not happy with that. Lots of unnecessary penalties. The rookies kind of look shaky, but they were also, you got two rookies. You know, you got Stanley and Lewis right there at the right and at left.
For
and like,
88, I think that's
yeah,
what it was.
exactly. Like
it was ridiculous.
It was like there was that, and the Trestman plays didn't look overly creative to me. I wasn't in love with a lot of the play calling as far as on offense. However, Sharice Wright in the secondary is a beast. 11 tackles. Like I don't know if that may be like a record
That's
in a
not
game.
healthy for a DB to recording.
It's
Yeah,
not
the
healthy.
guy you want leading the tackle.
But
Because you're getting deep into the
I
defense.
completely agree, but the fact that he was like in beast mode for that was good to see. Love seeing Eric Weddle just show up and show why he got paid as a leader.
He's a
like
stud.
Great, beautiful, nice rushes and sacks by Jernigan and Suggs. Like they both got in there. There was some exactly. It was a nice pass defense. However, you guys are fucking assholes. However, we also did have like some really some poor tackling on a few plays. We need better consistency in our run defense, and we had 0 interceptions, like 0, and that I don't like seeing. I want to see that. My overall game grade for the entire thing, B-.
Okay.
Like the big thing is that no one got injured.
That's right.
And no one got injured.
A W.
And we got a W. Like getting the W, but literally nobody getting injured was what made me go. Phew. Shout out to real quick friends Tim and Mandy Edwards for going with me to Mothers. I was actually in Baltimore at Mothers in Federal Hill for this game, and it was the best fucking thing. I loved it. All right, Steelers.
I think I heard for the second time in the past 6 seasons we won our opener. Awesome. We went into FedEx Field in Washington, took one 38-16 from the Redskins. I was a little worried about this one coming in. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect from the Skins, especially through the air. Kirk Cousins was a total wild card coming in. We really handled business against these guys.
Yeah.
The one thing I was looking for that I did not see, I was expecting Norman to be matched up against Brown the entire game. Instead, they decided to keep him on the same side.
Yeah.
And
that was the dumbest fucking.
That was
so stupid.
And you have to admit, you dodged a bullet. If Kerrigan falls on that ball inside the 10 in the first quarter, you're down 13-0. Completely different game. I mean, they did not take care of business. The Redskins, they had a chance, and from that point on, you guys took the momentum. But that was a game-changing play by Pouncey and not making the play by Kerrigan.
AB totally embarrassed Rashad Breeland. I mean, just whooped him up and down the field. It was ugly. He went for 126 and 2 touchdowns, 2 of Ben's 3 touchdowns. The 3rd touchdown is my favorite play of the game. Eli Rogers just in the right place at the right time. One bounce, pinballs around, and he just happened to catch it there in the end zone. Rookie getting his first touchdown in his first game. I thought that was awesome to see. The old man, D'Angelo Williams, comes in there and just wheels. I'm talking about 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that just goes to show what the Steelers' offensive line can do if that nucleus sticks together. Had a lot of problems with injuries in past years, Pouncey specifically. When those guys are together, that is dangerous. On defense, Shazier had a great game actually. Had a pick. Unfortunately, he dinged up his knee towards the end of that game there. He didn't practice today, so I'm going to have to see how that goes for the next couple of days. Cousins finished 30 of 43, which sounds crazy. No touchdowns. No touchdowns in the air.
I mean, that was insane.
And a lot of those completions came when they were way behind.
Yeah.
So the
he was
Steelers
just
were going to
trying to keep up.
trade yardage just to keep the clock running.
Yeah.
So that kind of begs the question, who were those guys in the Steelers secondary? I mean, it totally shut them down. Not even Deshaun Jackson got in there. He had a couple great plays, didn't get into the end zone.
Jackson had a good game.
He did.
So that's it for our game. You know what? Let's come back to us.
Well, wait, hold on. What was your overall game grade?
Yeah, you got to get a grade.
They snuck in 1 touchdown towards the end, 3 field goals. I mean, I'm going to say A-, B+. I mean, we whooped the shit out of them.
All right, that's fair. Okay. That's fair. Oh, one other thing I also want to say, shout out to Dan Funk, also joined us at the Ravens game in Federal Hill. Dan, it was fucking great to see you.
Nice.
So, what's next?
You know what? We're going to go into week 2 previews, but Mark, if you don't mind, I want to skip you.
Oh, you want to go last?
Yeah, I want to go straight to Dave.
Let's do the Brownies and the
Dave,
Birdies.
how are the Browns going to rebound in week 2? Tell me about that. Rebound in week 2.
We're going to win.
Yeah.
How else do you rebound from a loss?
How exactly do you plan on winning?
Oh, Jesus. All right, this is how I
You
think
want a plan?
Yeah, I know, right?
A plan.
From you, Jackson?
Oh, the man has a plan.
Yeah, that's not right. Blame you.
The man has a plan. I think the key to this game is going to be the Smith versus Pryor matchup, unless they go with Bright on Pryor. I honestly, just like I was saying before, McCown gives us a better chance at winning.
Yeah.
They went into Buffalo, or we're at home against Buffalo and put up 13. We put up 10. This isn't going to be a huge scoring affair, I don't believe. Could be completely wrong, and it's just a complete freaking blowout, and they cover whatever the spread is. I really think it's going to be a matter of mixing it up. We got to start out fast early. We can't be just running the ball the first quarter and then expect the pass to come back and forth and then lead us to a victory. That's not going to happen. We got to mix that up. No trick plays in the first half. Please, that punt was horrible or the kick was horrible.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Whatever the hell that was.
Well, Hugh Jackson will call some trick plays, and some of them will flop. And you'll just go, oh, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
So
that's what I think. What do you think?
Alright, so
let's go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are in this together.
Yeah, it's like here's the thing for those of you.
Go ahead.
For those of you who don't know, like whoever wins that game gets the other person's jersey for the entire week. So I might have a Browns jersey next week. Here's my things with the Browns. My offense concerns are one, we got to figure out how to contain Hayden against pretty much everyone. Because Hayden can be a beast. And we also got to contain Nassib, because dude is a hungry hippo.
Okay, so you put Hayden on Wallace.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really...
But that's if the Hayden is on Wallace by himself. I mean, Mike Wallace said his best on his own today. Said, like, if you put me up against one DB, I'm going to outrun him.
That's fine, but we got Abraham Campbell back.
Yeah, he still has got to catch him. And plus, I mean, we've got a ton of weapons out there now that we now actually know that we might be able to rely on. Not only do we have Steve Smith, not only do we have Mike Wallace, and Steve Smith didn't even have a lot of snaps.
Stop talking about Steve Smith. The guy's fucking older than my damn.
It's gonna be funny when he runs up and down the field after you talk about that. I can't wait to see that.
3 catches last week. Is that all
because he didn't
like 20 some odd yards?
He didn't even play that many snaps.
That's because he's ancient and he's going to.
No, it's because he's exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Better
off. Still able to do
you guys are better off going with the.
All right, you had your turn. Still on me. We also got to figure out how to lock up Shelton, and we cannot sleep on Christian Kirksey. Christian Kirksey had a great fucking game. On my concerns on defense is if Hugh Jackson does get his first half play calling together, that could be a worry. If the rookies on the offense gel, and they could give our D-line something to talk about. And we got to figure out how to contain Crowell and Pryor because that's the same thing I'm thinking about. Is like Smith or Sharice Wright on either one of those two. That could be a really interesting matchup. And the other thing is exactly what he said. McCown is harder for us to play than RG3.
He's 2-1 against Baltimore with 120 straight completions against Baltimore. The guy is pretty damn good.
And 0 interceptions.
No interceptions.
But we didn't have our secondary like we have it right now.
But you guys have changed your secondary. Your secondary.
Yeah, it's a whole new look secondary.
It's a very young, very fast. Even the DBs, your linebackers, especially the linebackers and your linemen, they're younger. They look a hell of a lot faster.
They are.
I really think though, if we're running Pryor and Coleman, and both can stretch the field, evident of last week, both had catches of over 45. That leaves open that middle area. If you guys have to send your
but then you got Weddle and Webb, and I think that we're covered. Because I'm excited about Weddle, I'm excited about Webb. So in the secondary is actually my least concern here. My biggest concern is our defensive line.
What's your biggest concern on each side? So you just said you were. Yeah. What are you afraid of on the Ravens?
Defensively or offensively?
Either.
What's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern with the Ravens is that they've already got to win this season. So they've already embedded that mentality into their head where we're coming off of a loss. Where that could be very psychological and that could really play in, especially when you lose by 19 points. We're going to have to stay mentally focused if we want a chance at this victory. The biggest concern, I think, is going to be Jimmy Smith in their secondary.
Where is the game?
Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. Yeah.
In the factory?
Yeah, it's in the factory.
All right.
And I mean,
predictions for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, so for me, it's like also you asked him like the key to winning too is we got to keep McCown under pressure. Like we got Suggs, we got to have all of those guys have to get in. Our upgrade with secondary has to keep the ball away from Pryor. We got to create bigger holes for our backs to run through. We have to exploit Austin Pastor. Is that right, Pastor? Yeah, because the Eagles just pretty much ran him ragged.
Really quick, after seeing Suggs in the game, does he look slower after the injury?
He looks a little slower. Okay. He does look, but I mean, he's coming off an Achilles, so he's not going to be as explosive. So I get that, but it's still fucking T-sizzle. Biggest thing for us is control the clock, and my final point is Justin Tucker.
No, but I agree with you on McCown because you made Tyrod Taylor very ordinary.
Yeah,
that was how
you
you
made him a
Buffalo.
QB.
You made him a QB.
Get on the way up.
Exactly.
Get on the way up.
So your prediction?
My prediction, I think this is going to be a close scoring game. I think we're looking at a 17-14, 17-13 game. And I'm going to say the Browns actually pulled this out. I think that Hugh actually gets into their head this week. They put in the extra effort. I think Urban actually has a decent game. I think Pasteur holds that right side up pretty well. And I actually think that Crowell's going to go for 100.
All right, my prediction, 24-13 Ravens. And the reason why I think that is that I think that our defense, after having such a good game against the Bills, which has a very tough defense, and our offense was like, it wasn't clicking, so we had a lot of time to kill off, but I think it's going to be 24-13. I think it's going to be higher scoring than what you think. I think that you're only going to get 13. I think we're going to get 24.
Let's go Browns. All right.
You better have
You guys might want to get out of the way.
I look with a team that doesn't have a win.
Yeah.
So just to kind of balance things out.
You guys might want to get out of the way of this because
All right, go for it.
Well, yeah, am I going first?
Go first.
Okay, and what was my question?
You, sir.
What's up? Okay,
Watch our time, guys.
Okay, my biggest concern is our offensive line. From what I just saw, I'm hoping they gel better. Like I said, it was a situational game. I don't think that's going to work against the Steelers in Heinz Field. So I want to see more consistency out of our offensive line and absolutely more protection. Andy Dalton cannot be sacked 7 times at Heinz Field. We will not win the game if they play like they did in New York.
And it is in Pittsburgh.
No, I understand that. We're starting with 2 road games, so so that's my concern. Linebackers. Forte he looked every bit of a 30-year-old running back in the preseason. He looked very good on Sunday. Dansby was slow. I mean, our linebackers just did not seem to have that spark. Now, I don't know if that was game plan or if they were really worried about Fitzpatrick throwing, but the linebackers need to play better. And our DBs need to do what they did here, which is step up. They stepped up in the Jet game. And they're going to need to do that here. I'm really, really curious to see, because I know the Steelers are going to be focused on A.J. Green. There's no question about it. He's had some great games against you. We need to see what happens. How does Tyler Boyd step up?
Yeah.
He's returning to Pittsburgh. We know that he could be a factor there, and I'm really curious to see how Tyler Boyd.
He's actually my biggest fear.
And LaFell, surprise,
Yeah.
he had a good game. We didn't really see him in the preseason, and I think maybe that was by design because of the ligament in his finger. But he looked good. He caught the ball. He's going to contribute. I drafted him in our fantasy thing just as kind of a late round add-on as wide receiver, and now I'm really glad I have him. I mean, he had a good game, so it'll be interesting to see. I take nothing for granted. I've said it before on this couch that all the teams on this sofa play each other hard.
Yeah.
Any one of us can win on any given Sunday.
AFC North.
We're the toughest division in football. I take nothing for granted. That's how I see the game. I see this as a low-scoring game too. I see this as they've historically been. If you look, I don't think any team has 20 points in the last 3 times. I've got us winning 2017. It's going to be a close game. I would love to sneak out of this one. If we can get back home 2-0, I mean, we'll have gotten 2 of our tougher road games done. So, like I said, it's going to be a hard-fought game. This is going to be a war.
All right. I do not think you guys are going to win this game. So here's the thing.
I would have been shocked if you said anything.
I am shocked.
I'm very surprised you didn't touch on the fact that this is a this is a revived rivalry here. I mean, the last time we saw each other was in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We all know how that went.
Yeah.
I expect you guys to come out and want revenge. And the Steelers, we're a little pissed off about what happened in that game, especially with Burfict. With him being out of the game, it kind of takes away a little bit. Eifert's out, that takes away a little bit as well. We want you guys at full strength. But as far as tight ends go, we totally took Jordan Reed out of the game against Washington. So I would like to have seen Eifert in there and see how he does against the defense. You guys are going to have your hands full protecting Red Rifle. I mean, if he got sacked that many times last week against the Jets,
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
We are pinning our ears back and coming for that guy. Right. So as far as the passing game, totally get it. Like I said, those guys who are out there.
I just don't know how the hell you guys are going to cover A.J. Green.
Yeah, I got to say.
Same way we covered Deshaun Jackson. I mean,
Deshaun and A.J. are two different players. Two different skill sets and levels.
Yeah. And A.J.'s had some great games against you. He's had some great games against you.
And I'm not expecting anything less. I'm expecting him to get at least 1 score out there. but I don't know who else is going to back them up. I don't know who else is going to contribute with them. I see us probably not stopping him, but containing him at best. What else? The running game, like I said, with our offensive line nucleus together, I see good things happening on the ground. That's going to eventually open up the air game. And the question is, how do you stop AB? I mean, I totally get it with Green. How do you stop AB though? I mean, what's the solve?
The same way you contain him. He's going to get a score probably.
If they double up on AB,
and he hasn't historically had big games against us.
But we get Marcus Wheaton back in this game as well. So I mean, if you double team him, someone's going to be open.
No,
Watch Rodgers. I think Rodgers and Boyd are very.
I want to say something in closing. We learn a lot in week 2. Because what happens in week 1 is we tend to focus on, and you don't know how good the team is. Like, we don't know from Monday night how good the Niners are, the Rams that shitty. Same thing here. You beat up Washington. Yeah, Jay Gruden did a horrible job coaching that game. And play calling was horrendous. And they didn't take advantage of things. You do that little ping pong thing, we're going to get the interception. You're not going to get the ball. Kerrigan, Marcus Hunt. Gino Atkins, they're just going to fall on that football.
I definitely understand you guys are a higher caliber team.
Well, exactly, and that's what I said. So we're going to see, were you guys great, or was Washington that bad? Did we just run up against and get lucky against a great Jet team?
Yeah.
You don't know, and we find that out in week 2. So
I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring game than you were thinking. I think it's going to be 31-25 Steelers.
Yeah, I don't see it that high, but okay.
I don't see it that high.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't see it that high.
I think it turned into a shootout.
Well, it's not just that.
I think a couple turnovers of grandeur.
All right. Moving on to a mailbag question we got this week. Federico Miranda asked, basically, how would I feel about the Steelers going from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3? And the way he's asking is, does that take some of the pressure off of our suspect defensive backs? I personally do not think so. I personally think that for a couple reasons. One, the Steelers have drafted with the 3-4 defense in mind. 2, we have very hybrid linebackers who can come up and be an extra defensive end, i.e. James Harrison, who you might see him dropping back and getting the pick like he did against the Redskins this past week. You might see him rushing and just tearing the hell out of a quarterback like he's going to do this week against the Red Rifle. I don't mind the 3-4 because I think that with our personnel, we've got just the right mix of pass rushing and pass defense. I think it will kind of make us a little bit weaker in the run, actually, if we did go to a 3-4.
Yeah, I actually agree. You don't. It's not about getting a certain person on the field. It's about the person fitting the scheme. Yeah. So you can get the bodies you want on the field. If they don't fit the scheme, it's not going to work. So
also, the 3-4 is just our base. I mean, if we're in a goal line, we can get McCullers and Hargrave on the field at the same time. That's no problem. It's very situational. But I don't think you want to have both of those guys out there when the other team's starting their own 25-yard line.
Yeah, I don't see that as being viable with the way that you guys are set up. Like, it just doesn't seem like...
We would have to redraft.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I just don't... Well, even if you did redraft, like, even all that being said, like, knowing that you're playing the AFC North, like, I just think that we'd find the holes.
Yeah, and you need defensive ends that can drop back in coverage. You might not have them. So
everybody's got holes.
We don't have holes. Great question. Great question. I think a 4-3 or 3-4 would both work out, but I think that the 3-4 is a little bit better fit for our personnel and for the league in general, with it being such a pass-heavy league now.
Yeah.
Who do we have as first-time commenters?
Audio Blink, Jackie Bearpat 101, JBuzz619, MMA Analysis.
Sorta.
No, MMA Analyst. Sorta. Thank you for the love, brother.
Jason Ching, Michael Mayhem, and Mr. Brian Mercer.
Thanks again, guys. We really appreciate you commenting.
Couple quick shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Sam Weish, who had open heart surgery. I actually had a heart transplant. Yeah. He's recovering. And a personal shout out to close friends of mine who are going through, she's going through chemo now for the 5th time out in MD Anderson in Houston. Heather and Travis, so we're with you, buddy. Love you.
Godspeed. Yeah.
Also, don't forget, guys, you can send in your mailbag questions to us at afcnortherners@gmail.com. It's right here. afcnortherners@gmail.com. Just put in subject line mailbag. We'd love to have your question. We're going to be going back to doing that every single week.
Yep.
Time to sign off, I guess.
There you go.
Let's sign off like we always do about this time with
Fuck the Patriots! Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Next week.